Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and it's yet another phase 1 video. Woo! Phase 1 braces again. So just wanted to go over phase 1 wire sequence one more time. I have this in all my content in my videos, but I just wanted to reiterate why we do sectional wires and cinch initially on light wires. An example of a sectional wire is this little sucker right here. Now, of course, they're doing something wrong here. I love to find stock images where they're doing something wrong. What are they doing wrong? Well, obviously this is not going to get straight because there's no space. If there's no space, you can't make it straight. Now, a cheating way, which some orthodontists do, which makes me super mad, is they pull out the C's, or the lower baby canines. Well, what does that do? Well, yeah, you take up some of that space, but now you just block out those permanent teeth and you cause impactions. So it's a short-term band-aid that causes more problems down the road. So what do you need to do first? You got to make the arches the right size. If you don't make them the right size, there's no space to put everything. It's kind of like if you have a closet and you got too much clothes in it, it's not going to fit. You got to have the right size closet, or you got to get rid of some clothes. So, but we don't want to be pulling teeth out, not permanent teeth. And we even really don't want to be pulling out baby teeth unless we really need to, like there's impacted canines or something like that. So the point of doing cinch and sectional wires, and if you don't know what sectional wires means, you need to watch my other phase 1 videos, which means you need to go to my YouTube channel, which is Straightsmile Solutions, find the phase 1 playlist, watch all the content there. There's almost 200 videos there. I even have a phase 1 course. It's 13 hours long with CE, is launching Q1 2023. It's going to be sponsored by CE Zoom. Price point's going to be less than $300, I believe, and you're going to get 13 units CE, but you're going to have to take a 65-question quiz. And it's not super hard because I wrote it, but you will have to pay attention. But it won't be super hard. It's kind of, I had some fun with it. There's also a non-CE version that comes with help on 2 cases, and you can get that off my website, straightsmilesolutions.com. Anyways, so understand this first before I go into this whole why do we do sectional wires and cinch. And part of the reason is, well, these wires are really flexible, and kids in mixed dentition have a lot of baby teeth. And sure, you can bond some baby teeth as long as they're not falling out anytime soon for support and stability, and nothing wrong with that. But we need to bond them, or something in the back, be it a 6, a first molar, an E, to be able to round it out, especially if you've got gaps in between your teeth. And you can see here, well, there's some bad bracketing here. You guys see what I'm looking at? I like this one. I don't like this one. This one needs to go clockwise, and it's also too long. So you got to work yourself up the wire sequence. You got to have something, you can initially have the wire be 2 to 2, assuming you have space. But what are they doing wrong here? Well, first of all, there's no space. Second of all, they didn't fully engage the wire in here, right? If it's not fully in the slot, it's not going to get straight, but there's no space for it anyway. So you'd have to do a figure 8 or a steel tie there. You also need to create the space first. So first thing you do is you build the foundation and you get the space, be it expansion, arch expansion. There's lower arch expanders that are out there. There's Fleas, there's Williams, things like that. And I know there's no suture, but just expanding the arch to the right size it was meant to be. Then you can go ahead and throw the brackets on, and then you can go ahead and tie them real tight, and they'll get nice and straight, kind of like they did here. And see, they did a really good job here because they made space for the permanent canines. You should have that size space if there's a dentulous area there and a canine meaning drop down, so that the tooth will come down normally, hopefully. But you're going to go ahead and work your way up the wire sequence, be it 14, 18, 12, 16, 18, something like that. The goal is to slowly work your way up the wire sequence. You might only need 2, you might need 3 wires. I don't go 12, 14, 16, 18. That's a huge waste of wires. If the teeth are super wonky, or if the kid is like really jumpy, I'll do a 12 because it's like a baby wire and they probably won't feel that much. And I might not even figure 8 the first time. And then the next one, we're going to figure 8 on the 12th. Then we might go to a 16. Our wires should be cinched in here and here like they did here. This is the right thing to do. They did do that right. Why do we cinch them? Well, a wire is, especially a night tie wire, is like a smile. And if you just trim it flush, boom, here, first of all, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's always going to be poking. Second of all, it's going to slide like this laterally. It's going to slide and it's going to pull out of the slot, and it's just going to come out as they eat and chew. If you put this little cinch band in, if you don't know how to do cinch, you need to watch my videos on cinch. This is how you spell it, C-Y-N-C-H. I have videos on exactly how to do cinch. You go ahead and get the wire a little bit longer than you need. You flame the ends. You go ahead and try it in. Make sure you got the right size. Leave about 3 millimeters at the end of each side. Then you're going to go ahead and cinch it. Take it out of the mouth. Cinch. Don't cinch while it's in the mouth because you're going to break a bracket. Then you're going to go ahead and tie it in, and you should have that cinch going inward so that it's not cutting the patient, and so the wire can't slide around, and it stays nice and firmly in place. There should be enough slack so that you can go ahead and get it fully in the slot on all the teeth, assuming you had the right amount of space. Work your way up the wire sequence and repeat with the next wire, and repeat with the next wire. You shouldn't be moving up wires until your wire is 110% passive. This, not a passive wire. This, you wouldn't want to be moving up because you didn't get your bracketing right. So your bracket needs to be right before you move up the wire sequence. I mean, this is clearly wrong. I can see that, right? Even this is wrong. This one's longer than the other. So they shouldn't be moving up the wire sequence until they fix the bracketing on this one. I can't really tell this one. This one's a little tricky. This is definitely right. They did a great job here. Okay, and then once you go ahead and you get to the 18 night tie, just like with regular phase 2 or comprehensive brackets, I recommend pausing once the wire is totally passive, taking a progress panel, double checking that the roots are all parallel, double checking the incisal edges, making sure they're all even, making sure you have symmetry, make sure 8 and 9 or the upper ones are even, make sure 7 and 10 or the upper 2s are even, make sure all your lower anteriors are completely even, there's no ins and outs, there's no ups and downs, or no major first order bend issues. I also love to loop the parents and the kids into this situation when you get to that point, because there's a lot of like art that goes into the science of ortho. Some people want to have their laterals are meant to be stepped up a little before the centrals, but you know, there's some give. We could have a little longer, a little shorter, depending on what they're looking for. And I love to just have them doing the feedback at that stage, because if there's any miscommunications or issues that are coming up, I want to know at that stage why we can still fix them or adjust them or at least clarify them, as opposed to the very end where I think we're done and all of a sudden they're like, ooh, this looks bad in their mind, and we haven't clarified it yet. So that's the time to fix things, is at the 18 night tie stage. We're going to go ahead and do the rebrackets then. And of course, if you're doing indirect bonding, you shouldn't have any rebrackets, assuming that you didn't screw up when you placed the brackets with the jig, and you cured fully and no one broke any brackets. And then if you don't have any brackets to fix, you can go ahead and take your wires, put in an 1825 night tie, take it all the way to the back. You can do some buckle tubes. If you're afraid it's going to flex, you can do a cinch in the back as needed. And if needed, you can go ahead and power chain at this point. I don't have any examples of power chain, but I have some other videos on that. You can see here, they also use bumper tubing with the long spans. If you are going to go ahead and have long spans, you need to have bumper tubing and a cinch, because it will flex when the patient eats, sleeps, anything that rests on it, raise their hand on it, and the flexing will break the adjacent brackets. And that's pretty much it. That's why we cinch. That's the important part. And that's why we initially start with sectional wires, because you're going to have a really flexible wire and a long span, and it's almost impossible to keep that span from breaking brackets and pulling out the back too. It's just going to be way less frustrating. It's important to explain that to your patients, because they don't understand why they only have a itty bitty wire in the front as opposed to a nice big wire like their friends do. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Thank you.